Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our vulnerable communities with the Rev. I am Aldrin Murray, and I'm going to be your host for today. So, well, last week was my first week, and I was very excited and very nervous. And when I started off, I said, registrate, registrate, registrate. I may have said it about 10 times, but guess what? That is not a word, okay? Registrate is not a word, okay? It is used, but it has something to do with pipes or something like that. But I'm not in that profession, so I don't really know. But I didn't realize it until afterwards. My husband said, you said registrate. I was like, oh, wow. Well, registrate is not a word. What I meant was register. And this is the REV: register, educate, and vote. And so we're going to talk about our vulnerable communities and why the REV. Well, the REV, all of it is connected because our communities won't be so vulnerable if we register, educate ourselves, and vote. So I can stand to be corrected, okay? And I will try to pronunciate the words as best as I can today and explain to you what some of them mean. So we did talk about vulnerable, so we know what vulnerable means. And if you don't know, go back and look at my first episode, the first video. Okay, go back and look at that on Facebook, and you can see what I was talking about. Okay, so I'm still going to connect things today. So today I'm going to talk about primary elections. Well, what does that has to do with our vulnerable communities? Well, I know many of you who walk around, ride the bus, travel in your car, see a bunch of signs all in our communities, and it's saying vote. It has this person name, that person name, people names, and faces that you have never seen or heard of before. Okay, so that's why we got to educate. We got to find out who these people are on these signs. So my husband was on Facebook, and he likes social media. He's on there all the time, and this minister, pastor, or whatever his denomination and his title is, was on there, and he said, vote, vote, go and vote. And when you vote Democrat and you vote straight down the line. Don't miss anything, fill everything in. Okay. Well, that's just like really dangerous. Don't do that. Because you could just like vote for somebody who really is against you. You could just like vote for somebody who really don't have your best interest in mind. So don't do that. Don't just vote straight down, because I'm not. I've already voted. And some of them I just left blank. Not because I didn't know who they were. I did, but I didn't feel like either one of them, you know, should have my vote. So I didn't vote for them at all. So some of them was just left blank. Okay. Because either way, there was no, oh, I'm going to pick the lesser of the evil. Well, in that case, in some of those cases, there is no lesser than the evil. Just don't vote for them at all. Okay. And let whoever vote for them, vote for them. But you should vote. You should register to vote and educate yourself. Okay, so we're going to educate. So today, primary elections. What is the primary? Well, the primary is the preview. It's the preliminary before we get to the big thing. That's what the primary is. And the big thing is the general election. So first, the primary is between parties. Okay. So you have the Democratic Party, which I'm a member of. You have the Republican Party, which I am not. And you have the Independent Party, which I am not. Okay. Because I'm not going to play both sides of the fence. I'm going to be one or the other. I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose. So I choose. But nothing against independence because I know some people that's independents and they're some pretty good people. Okay. But it's to each his own. It's your choice what you choose. Because in the primary, when you go to vote, you're gonna have to declare. You're gonna have to declare that you're a Democrat or a Republican, and they will give you a ballot based on whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. Now, if you pick independent, can't pick a Republican, can't pick a Democrat. So you got to choose. You got to choose out of three what you're gonna do. Okay. So, well, how do I know if I'm a Democrat? Well, you got to find out what the Democratic principles are. What do they espouse? Okay. Republican, what are their principles? What do they espouse? And the same for the independents. Well, usually independents, they're independent because they don't have they're not Democrat or Republican, but if they choose to vote Democrat or Republican based on when they get in office, they can. Okay, they might vote Republican on this with Republicans, or vote on Democrats with that. Well, hopefully they'll vote with Democrats since I'm a Democrat. Okay, but you don't know. It's their choice. And it's your choice too, whether you choose that Democratic ballot, the Republican ballot, or the independent ballot. Okay, so Democrats, they say Democrats are liberal. Well, what does that mean, liberal? It's like when you're applying an ointment and you read it in a direction say pride us, you know, to use liberally. That means like to spread it on, just get it all over it. Just be loose. Well, not necessarily, okay? Because all Democrats are just not loose and you know, just all out there and overindulging and everything. Well, Republicans are known to be conservative, okay? Reserved, laid back, holding back. I'm going to hold this money. I'm going to hold on to this money. And so economically, it's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with being conservative, okay? And matter of fact, most people of my complexion, believe it or not, a lot of people are conservative. And at one time, most African Americans were Republicans and they were conservative. And we still have African Americans who are Republicans and conservative. But then you got different types of Republicans. They say you have the compassionate Republicans, the moral majority or whatever. But let's go on with that. So you kind of got an idea about Democrats and Republicans, okay? So after you decide, well, I think I'm a Democrat, okay? I've looked it up, seeing what the Democratic Party about. So I'm a Democrat, so I'm gonna vote Democrat. So now that means that you're gonna vote in the Democratic primary. So you're gonna have to look at all of the people that's running, and there's a lot of people running in the Democratic primary for different things. So you're gonna have to decide, on things like the school board, the Board of Elections, which I am on. And I'm also currently running to keep my seat. Okay. So vote for me. But anyway, uh, you still going to have to look at those people, see what they're about, see what they're running for, see what their platform is. Okay. The platform is what they're running about. Now, Democrats run against each other, okay, in the Democratic primary. Republicans run against each other in the Republican primary, and independents run against each other. Okay, so you're going to have to choose which one out of the two. So if you got two Democrats running, you're going to have to look them both up and see what they're about. If they are already in the seat, see what they have been doing when they've been in the seat. If you're in their district, if you're in their precinct, if they're your person on the Board of Elections, which that's county-wide, so it doesn't matter what district you're in. If it's for the school board, look at those people. Let's see what they're doing. Okay, what have they done? What's going on with the schools in your neighborhood? So you wanna, you wanna ask those things. I've been on the Board of Elections since October of 2021. So I really haven't had a chance because when I came on, it was an election going on. But guess what? Everything was already decided by the time I got on there. So I really haven't had a lot of time on there. But I think that if I was not experienced, if the Democratic Party didn't feel like I was eligible, qualified, and competent, they wouldn't have appointed me to that, very, very important decision. So you have the election board. The election board, really important in elections. Without the election board is what? No elections, right? We got to have the right people there on the elections board. So look at the people who are running for office and what they are running for. See if these people are making sure that your neighborhood is correct if you live in the county or whatever it is. They got judges running. Now, those are like, nonpartisan races. So a lot of those races, and we do have nonpartisan races, that mean that they're not with a particular party. But guess what? With the elections board, even though we have Republicans and Democrats, when I go in there to the meeting, I'm going to vote for what is best for all of the voters of Chatham County. I want to make sure that the places that we have for them to vote at are safe and accessible and they are right capacity. Okay. Simple things like you're already on a bus line, stuff like that. Are they really accessible? Are there sidewalks? Do they have to walk up a bridge? I mean, to get there, so you want to look at those things. So I'm that person that's going to point out, those type of things. A lot of those polling places were already there when I came on. The new supervisor, when he came on, those polling places were already there. So there may be some things that we can do that really can help with that. I see somebody had something on there: progressives versus conservative values and principles haven't changed like parties' names and affiliations have changed. Well, you're right, but then also a lot of things about progressives have not changed, and also conservatives too. And I do understand and know the difference. And there are some people who are progressive and maybe Republican too, progressive, but they are what they would call like what's the name that they use for people like in the middle or something? So moderate, okay? So maybe they're like a moderate Republican or a moderate Democrat, and then you just got the progressive. But a lot of times a lot of progressives are in the Democratic Party, which the Democratic Party have a lot of different people in there. But the tent is big enough. And it's good when you have different people with different ideas, principles. We just have to sit down, talk, and with each other, and try to see what we can do and what we can get was best for the people that we're going to represent. So in the elections, we have people in the polling places that are called poll workers. Well, poll workers do just what they say. They work. They get paid to do a job. This job has been done for years and years. This is not an easy job. People signing up for the job to be a poll worker, I commend them. They have to get up early in the morning. They're there from 7 before 7 when the polls open. There's a whole process that they have to go through, and picking up things, getting there to the polling place, opening up the polling place, even maybe going there before to see where the plugs are. Simple things like that. Do they need extension cards? To make sure things are set up right, the machines and everything. They got to make sure that the machines are working right, that the machines are on. So, it's a whole lot of stuff that the poll workers are responsible for. They go through training, and the Board of Elections is responsible for the training of the poll workers to make sure that they know what all the rules and the laws are. And see, you can trust them because some of them are Democrats, some of them are Republican, some of them are progressives, some of them are with the Green Party, some of them are Democrats, independents. Okay, but there are people who have come to work to do a job to make sure that the citizens who are voters that are eligible to vote can vote without there being any issues and problems, and they are there to help them and to ask them questions. These are everyday people. Some of these people are your neighbors, your co-workers, so we have to give them a whole lot of respect for what they have to do. So we need to commend the poll workers because they do a good job, and they have been doing a good job for years. And there's a lot of other people that work with those poll workers. We have the staff that work in the office at the Board of Elections with the technology and everything. We have the other guys who transport the equipment, and the machines, and have to make sure that they're running. They're the ones going to go out, and when they get the call and say, okay, we got a machine here down, and they're going to come and make sure that they get that machine up and get things working. So we got a lot of different people who work as poll workers and work for the elections board. And you can trust that these people are going to do the best job that they can to make sure that that election goes smooth, and that you are able to come in there and cast your vote for the candidate or candidates that you want to vote for. Now, also, we have some other people that's inside of that poll who are not poll workers. They're poll watchers. Well, guess what? We have poll watchers during a primary, and we have poll watchers during a general election. Now, with the primary, it's really up to the candidate if they want poll watchers. If the candidate will want poll watchers, they can have poll watchers. They just need to get their poll watchers together, get their list together, get with their party chairman, whoever the person is charged over their GOTV, the get out the vote. Okay, that's what the GOTV is, get out the vote. That person is in charge of training, making sure that the poll workers are trained and they have the proper credentials. That list is then turned in to the Board of Elections. Okay, and all of the information is there, and they are giving badges, name tags with their name on it, and so that people can know who they are. And it says poll watcher, so it's really up to the candidate. Some alarms were wrong, unnecessary. You just have to ask the right information and get direction from the right people. And you have to know who to ask, and that's really important if you're running for office. You got to investigate that office that you're running for, know how it works and what are the procedures are and what are you supposed to do. So you can count on me. So you just stay tuned in, because I'm Audrey Murray and I am a member of the Board of Elections, and I'm running and I'm a candidate. So I have investigated, and I do know because I volunteered for a long time with the Democratic Party, being the GOTV chair. It was my job to get that list if there were a candidate in the primary that wanted a poll watcher. But what I can say, I really don't remember training any poll watchers for the Democratic primary. So I hear that there's a whole lot of Republican, and I don't hear, I know because I saw the badges because I'm a member of the Board of Elections. Republican poll watchers. Well, that's good. If that's what the candidates wanted and that's what the party wanted, then that's what they have. They have the opportunity. They have every right to have that. But if the other parties don't feel like they need poll watchers, then they don't do poll watchers. So any candidate can have poll watchers. They just need to get their list together, get it in to their prospective party, and get the poll watchers trained, turn the list in. Now, whether or not is it too late, you need to call the elections board and ask the election supervisor it's too late to get your poll watchers in. Okay? So that is how that worked with primaries and poll watchers. Okay? Now, there are some other people that are called observers. Okay? There are some other rules for them. They don't have the same privileges as a poll watcher, and definitely not as a poll worker. But you don't need anybody's permission to be an observer. But that's all you can do is observe. So there are some rules and there are some boundaries, because we do have things that's called a public space. And so we can't really say that you can't come in there, but they can according to the capacity of that public space, because you can't be up on the voters when they're trying to vote, because that's private, and whoever they vote for is private. So we have to be very careful about that. We can't be in the way and hinder in any kind of way when people are trying to go to the machines. So there has to be enough space in there. There has to be enough room in there. So we all should, respect that. So we have a lot of things going on with the Board of Elections and on polling day and inside the polling places. So just trust that the poll workers are there and they're trained and they know what they are doing. Get information directly from the source. Call the elections board if you don't understand a process, if you don't know how it works. And being a new candidate, a new poll watcher or observer, you may not. And if you don't feel like you got all of the information that you need to know or is trained by that, you can still call and ask questions. It's okay to call and ask questions, because sometimes everybody don't get it the first time. So ask questions. That would be okay. So that's that's primaries. Okay, primary elections. The general election is going to be in November. Now, in the general election, all of the parties, candidates, they'll have their poll watchers. Okay, And there will probably be more poll workers because more people will tend to vote in the general election. I think this is what they call midterm. So you may have less people coming out to vote. And sometimes people don't vote in the primary because they really don't understand it. And some people don't understand that in the primary, you do have to choose. You can't vote for the person that you want at this time. You're going to have to wait until after that time. And so there will be a runoff, maybe, if there are more than 3 people in the race. If it's more than 2 people in the race, then it may be a runoff. And if it is, then you may still have some parties who want to have their poll watchers, and they can. Okay, so it's still a process. And if you don't know the process, just ask the process. Just ask. If you're a poll watcher and you're in there and you think you see something, go and speak with the poll manager, not to the person where you see, the person that's actually in that action and doing something that you think might be unfamiliar. Speak to the poll manager. Okay, so they got rules for poll watchers and for the observers, and the poll workers know what the rules are, and there's a manager at every polling precinct. So, like I was saying before, people come into your neighborhoods. I know you see a lot of signs in your neighborhood. In some neighborhoods, you don't see a whole bunch of signs all over the place, all over the corners, all in the what they call it, the part that the city, even if it's your property, only part of it is really is your property. But a lot of people don't know and really understand that about the easement. So your signs shouldn't be in the easement, okay? And they should be in no way keeping you from seeing other signs that has to do with the traffic, okay? So you have to be really careful about that. Don't pull people's signs up if you don't like the person who's running, okay? Signs don't vote, people vote. Those are just some reminders, you know, that maybe it's an election time. And that's when some people really realize it's election time, because some people don't keep up with politics like others do. And they see the signs, oh, it must be an election, But check those people out. You got plenty of time to check them out. You can Google them. You can ask about them. You can get information. So we go back to register, educate, and then vote so that you can make an educated vote. Okay? So don't just go like that pastor, minister, preacher, or whatever his title is, say, go and vote straight down the line. That's so dangerous. Don't do that. Don't vote straight down the line. You don't know who you're voting for. You could be voting for one who don't have your best interest in mind. Some people run for office for their own personal reasons. Maybe they got a business and they want some bills to be passed to help them in their business. I mean, maybe they want things to just come to their communities, and sometimes it does. That's why you got to go out and vote. If you don't vote, then you can't complain because you didn't vote. Now, if you vote and you went and vote for someone, you need to hold them accountable. If they're not doing the things that they said that they were going to do on their platform, then you need to call them out on that and say, hey, you said this was going to happen and it haven't happened yet. So you know what to do the next time. Okay? A vote of no confidence. Don't vote for them. Vote for somebody else. Hold them accountable. Okay? Ask them to produce those receipts. The receipts are in front of you. If things are the same way they were 4 years ago, 8 years ago, then guess what? They don't have any receipts, because the receipts is going to be something changed. You're going to see something on there. But vote for me, because I do have receipts and I am accountable and have been for years. Because one thing for sure, what I'm doing now is what I'm already doing now on the board of election, and that is speaking out for the things that I see that maybe someone else didn't see that was sitting to the table. So I'm going to point that out. And just to let everyone know, they did change the precinct, the voting place, the polling place for the citizens who live in Yamacraw. And they used to go to the Civic Center. And then there are also some people that live in the historic district who was voting down at the old courthouse. Well, their voting place now is at the Ralph Mark Gilbert. My only concern, I think the Ralph Mark Gilbert is a great place. It's on one level. There's parking. There's off-street parking. My only concern is people who walk, people who catch the bus, people who are elderly, people who are in wheelchairs. When I went over there, the lights wasn't working. The crosswalk lights, the crosswalk has was lines were faded. You could barely see them, and there weren't any on one of the intersections, I think, at Taylor Street. So that's really important. And the city of Savannah just had a resolution because some pedestrians were killed on MLK, because after you cross Liberty Street on MLK, it's like a freeway. I mean, they are really speeding, so we want people to be safe when they go to the polls, because they're going to have to at some point cross where you go onto the highway. There's a lane on MLK coming from off of Wheaton Street, I think right after you pass Parker's. That lane is nonstop onto the highway, okay? And I don't see a crosswalk is facing where you cross at there. So the lights did get turned on. I did mention it in the Board of Elections meeting to the supervisor, Billy Wooten. He said he would talk to someone at the city, and I went back by there, and the lights are on. My only problem with is those lights are very old. You can barely see them. They need the new crosswalk lights up there. They need, and I know the city of Savannah can do that. They can afford that. Get the new crosswalk lights up. Have them on each corner. Have it on the east corner, on the northeast corner. Okay, the southeast corner. Have it on the southeast corner. The north. Have it on all four corners. Okay. We want to make sure those people get across the street and they get across that street safely. So it's these kind of things that's really important. And check it out. It's on Taylor Street. Check out where the lines, I think they're going to paint some more lines there, because I did see some markings where they're probably preparing to paint the lines there on Taylor at MLK. And I'm really glad about that, because I spoke up about that, about the people there that's going to be coming there, because there are a lot of people who walk. If I live downtown and if I can walk to a place, and even where I live at now, I don't do a lot of walking to places because it's just too far, for me. But for some people who are walkers and who walk every day and want to go walk to vote, they should be able to do that. There should be a sidewalk there. If they catch the bus and don't have a car, because everybody don't have a car, because people like say, oh, everybody got a car. No, everybody don't have a car. And as a matter of fact, everybody don't know how to drive. There are several people in my family I know don't know how to drive and don't have a driver's license. They have a Georgia State ID. Okay. So not everybody knows how to drive, and not everybody have a car. Okay. And not all the time are people cars working. At one time, we was a one car family, then was a no car family, then we was a one car family, we're a 2-car family now. I have been for some time, but that's not the case for everyone. So we got to not just think about ourselves and look at things just on our standards or our level or our income level, but we have to think about others too, because we are all connected. And at some point we do connect, we do see each other and come across each other. So this is the type of person that I am. This is the type of person that you can trust, that will continue to do these things, to be that person to sit to the table, say, hey, we need to look at this. Now, I was all for it when they changed that polling place, the STEM Academy. I always thought it was a terrible polling place. My grandson went there, and I didn't even park over there or go through that line. I used to park across the street, walk across the street, and get him and bring him back to the car, because I didn't want to be in that traffic. It was just too much, and it was just too long. So I would go and get him, because I didn't want him to cross the street. There was a cross guard up there, but there was only one up there at the time. So I don't know how many is up there now, but I know it was really bad. So they changed it, and that was fine. All I was asking for was that same equity. They changed it because of safety. They changed it because people would have to park across the street and walk across Montgomery Crossroads and go to vote, and it was dangerous. And so I just only asking for the same equity. I didn't get those things in the minutes, for whatever reason. The chairman, Tom Mahoney, wouldn't allow for it. I don't know why, but I did appreciate doing that in the meeting and asking Billy. And even if it wasn't, if I had emailed him, I just went and talked to him, he would have did whatever he could to make sure that the voters are safe going to vote. So I thank him for that, and I'm just glad to be on the board of elections so that I can continue to help the voters, the citizens of Chatham County. So not so much about myself, but just as I said, the board of elections is really important. That is our duty to make sure that we find polling places in the precincts that are safe, accessible, and have the capacity. It's really important for us to train the poll workers to make sure that they understand the laws, all of the procedures, and there are a lot. Things have changed, and so that's important that we make sure they're trained. I did get to sit in on the training. I was very impressed, and I spoke with a couple of the poll workers. One of them who worked at what they call the warehouse, and he was saying that he thought that the training was really good and some of the best training that they have had. So I really feel good about that and proud to be on the board of elections. I can't talk about myself all the time and about the board of elections because I'm not the one that's really doing the work. Okay, the staff there, they're doing a great job. They're the ones doing the work. So the board of elections right now, there is the election going on. People are voting, but the board of registers is in charge of early voting, not the board of elections. So you got you some people get it confused, but that is how it works. It's the board of registers is in charge of early voting. It's still going on. The last date to early vote is on the 20th. You still have time to educate yourself about who's running for office, or educate yourself about the candidates, because all of this is connected. Like I say, the things that you need and the things that you want in your community, you can have those things, but you have to register, then you have to educate yourself, and then you need to vote. Okay, and you can get the things that you need. Okay, put that back up again. Someone was saying, Rebecca Rose, any insight on why the Stillwell precinct was changed? I think that Stillwell was having some internal issues with the building, and it had to do with the building and some internal issues that they had. And I don't know if they got those things straight or not, but I know that was one of the issues and why it was changed. It had to do with the building itself and some internal issues that they were having. But I definitely will follow up. I definitely will follow up on that, Rebecca, and get you a better answer than that, if there is one. But I do know that they had some internal issues over there that had to do with the building. So if you have any questions, thank you, Rebecca, for being on today and asking your questions. If you do have questions, please come on, ask your questions. I'm going to try to do the best I can at answering the question. If I don't have the answer, I definitely will follow up and get back to you with that answer about the Board of Elections. And like I said, don't be afraid to ask people when they come into your community and they say, vote for me. You can trust me. Can my brother vote at age 17 and a half? I know that he can register to vote at age 17 and a half. But now registration is over for this election. It's over for this election. And usually if he does not have a driver's license or a state ID, when they go and apply for it, they do ask if they would like to register to vote. And if they're 17 and a half, I know that you can register to vote because I registered when I was 17 and a half at Jenkins High School, as a matter of fact, in the late 70s. I'm 62 now, so I'm not afraid to say my name, age, and I'm not ashamed of it either. I think that I look good considering, and I feel good. So, yes, he can register to vote at 17 and a half. Now, just like I said, I'm on the board of elections. I'm not with the board of registers, but I do know that because I know that rule hasn't changed because I was able to do that because they were actually able to come to the school and register us to vote. So I was happy and ready. My parents encouraged us. They made us look at the news and the political part of the news and everything. So we kind of know what's going on. So that interests me. And I've been volunteering for a long time with the Democratic Party, and learning and teaching myself and asking questions, not always doing things right. But like I said, I can't stand to be corrected. I don't know everything, because what I was told as a child and even now today, only a fool knows everything. And I certainly am not a fool. Even though some people may think I am, but I'm not. I'm laughing at my own jokes. Hey, well, now also the sponsors for ATR. I don't know who they all are, but if any of them are politicians, if you didn't see me say that I support them, there's nothing I can do about them. If they are on here, if they paid for their space on here, if they before or after my show, doesn't mean that I agree with them or that I support them or I endorse them. Just wanted to put that out there. Can I register now for the general election in November? Certainly, you certainly can. You can register now. Registration is 365 days of the year. You can register to vote. It's just that there's a cutoff period because it takes time for them to put everything in the system and make sure that you're at the right precinct, because that's the registrar's job, is to receive the registration forms, and they are the ones that will put you in the correct precinct where you need to be. So absolutely, you can register to vote, and you can vote in the general election. So any other questions? I'll be happy to try and answer them. Even though some of them are about registration, I do know something about registration. I just want you to know that the people working over in the registrar's offices are some great people. Sabrina German, a great person. I met her. I've talked with Sabrina. I'm happy to be working with her. I'm not there every day across the hall, but they got a big job with the Board of Voter Registration's office, and they got a lot of good people working in there. And I commend them also, because they work 365. It's all year round. It's not just around election time and election season. And you can call them and ask them questions. And if you have any issues, it's not too late to go to my voter page to see what your status is. Some people have been coming up and active. They may have sent some literature to your house and you just didn't pay it any attention and it wasn't answered, so they put you as inactive. Go ahead and check that status now. Don't wait till you go to the polling place. All important. If you're at the wrong polling place and if it's before 5 o'clock, they're going to send you where you need to go. If it's after 5 o'clock and you can't make it to your the voting place, you can vote where you are. You will need to do a provisional ballot. Provisional ballots are counted. Don't listen at what people say and say provisional ballots are not counted. They are not counted if you do not show back up to the registrar's office with your credentials. Okay, you have to prove that you actually are supposed to be voting in that precinct. So you just call them and ask them what it is that you need to bring it with you. The election is not official until that Friday, so bring it then, and so that your vote will count, because it does. And it's really important because all politics is local. My aunt lives in Chatham County and was taken off the voter roll. What does she need to do to get back on the roll? She needs to call the registrar's office, okay? And they're going to tell her why she was taken off the roll and tell her what she needs to do. When voters are inactive and if they don't vote in so many elections, they can be purged from the roll. So that's very important to check now and see. But she should call the voters registration's office, let them know that she has been purged off the rolls. She wants to vote, and so they will handle that accordingly. I'm not going to say exactly what they're going to do. That's not my job. Sabrina and them, she got a good team there. Call and they can get that straightened out for her. I don't know if she have to re-register. I don't know how long it was since she voted or what the reason was that she was purged. Things do happen because people are human and machines are not. So things do happen. So call and see, for her to call and see why she was purged from the rolls or is in an inactive status. And I want to thank you. I didn't get your name, but thank you for the question and coming on to the show today. So this is one of the ways, like I told you before, I told you last week, so your communities is not as vulnerable. If you educate yourself on knowing who is running for office, who are sitting in those seats currently, educate yourself on that. Find out about that. And the more you go out there and you vote for the right people who have your best interests in mind. You can get the things that you want and the things that you absolutely need for your communities. When you're voting for eSPLOS and T-SPLOS and all kind of SPLOS, you need to pay attention to that because those are monies that can help with things in your communities, okay? And if you see that you think that you need a school in your community and there is none or there was one and they shut it down or whatever, you need to be up on that. See who the person is representing, your precinct, your district on the school board and speak to them. Call them and speak to them and ask them, tell them what you're interested in, what you feel you need. Whoever your commissioner is, whoever your alderman is, call them and tell them what you need. Talk to these people and be prepared to vote. Be prepared to hold them accountable, because what you have in your community is their receipts. If you don't have nothing, if you got the same thing you had, then where are the receipts? Where is it? Every voter, every citizen, if you buy anything, you are a taxpayer. You don't have to own a home to get the same services as a homeowner. You pay taxes. Okay. This country is nothing without the people. The people have the power, and people pay taxes. And you got to express yourself. You got to stand up for yourself, and you got to register, educate, and vote. You can contact me on Facebook or the Board of Elections on the Board of Elections webpage. I'd be happy to answer you. You can ask the question of me, or you can ask the question of every member of the Board of Elections. And we do receive any questions that come through. The supervisor, Billy Wootens, makes sure that we get the emails on whatever it is that you send. So my contact information is on the website for the Board of Elections. You can call me. I also have a Facebook page, Vote Aldrin Murray. Please do keep me in the seat. And I will continue to do what I do to be outspoken. Okay, some code words, outspoken, So I'm going to speak out, I mean, it may not be popular. Some people say, well, I haven't seen you to this forum, that place. Well, I haven't been there because I wasn't invited. I guess because I speak out and because I'm outspoken. So, I'm not going to be subdued. I'm not going to be laid back. I'm not clean cut and I'm not polished. I'm just me. I'm just a regular person. I'm going to do what I do. And this is what I've always done, speak out. And one thing for sure, you can hold me accountable. I'm not going to ask you to trust me. Trust is earned. Okay. I'm not going to go up to anybody and say, trust me. And especially if you don't know me. And I think that my work speaks for itself. I think that speaks more than anything else, So as I said before, I want to thank ATR for allowing me to become the new host for our vulnerable communities with the REV. And the REV is register, educate, and vote. I am Aldrin Murray, and I don't know who the sponsors are for my segment, but I didn't ask for them. They're there, and that's because of ATR. So if y'all got any questions about that, y'all have to ask them, okay? Some of them may be politicians. If I'm not, I'm probably not supporting them because they don't support me. And maybe we don't share the same values. We could be of the same party, but that don't mean that we share the same value and have the same vision for the community as I do. So I'm going to continue to speak out and be who I am. Some people say, oh, well, I don't know how to speak and they don't like how I speak and I'm not polished. Well, I'm sorry about that. I'm going to be me and I'm not going to be anyone else for anyone else. No one can pay me to be someone else because I'm not. I'm me. I'm Aldrin Murray. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the questions. I'll get back with the question about the 17 and a half year old. Can he vote now? I also will get back with the question about, I think it was about the grandmother. Like I said, she needs to call the election board, or you call for her, okay? Because you can. And also on those ballots when they come, you can help your elderly family member with their ballot. There's some place on there for you to sign. So make sure that it's filled out completely, correctly. It is signed, and only one ballot can go in one envelope, okay? Because there has been times where we had elderly people, the husband and the wife, send the ballot in one envelope. Please do not do that. Send it in one envelope. One envelope, and make sure that it's signed and it's filled out correctly. And again, I am Aldria Murray. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good afternoon and evening.
Like that.